Hi everybody, this is me, Daniel Hutchins, and today we are doing a Marvel Insider check-in of 11/3/21. Now I know I did one a few days ago, but this is going to be another Marvel Insider for the week. I want to try to bring back 2 Marvel Insider check-ins per week, but depending on how much material there is on Marvel Insider, it just kind of depends on what's out there in the comic book universe right now. So bear with me, guys. So I'm still a level elite. I'm 33,741 points to True Believer, and I'm 66,509 redeemable points. And the last time I was on was, like I said, on the 1st of the month. So, we're checking to see what type of stuff we can do and to see if they update it. Because that is important. Because if they didn't update, then that could be a problem. I pretty much maxed out pretty much all the way at Marvel. Comics. Okay. So we're talking about the Marvel Wastelanders again. The series spotlight. The series spotlight of the Wastelanders. The future's remaining heroes Wolverine, Hawkeye, and Star-Lord, and the stories from the Wastelands, the bleak and barren landscape that's been decimated by united efforts of supervillains. Return to the Wastelands. Old Man Logan event. There's also the Old Man Hawkeye event. And there's the Old Man Quill event. And of course, they all have, all of them have at least 6 issues. So that's sort of telling you something, given the fact that I've briefly had mentioned the Wastelanders in another one of my YouTube videos. You can check that out on the channel if you haven't yet. And it talks about some new updates to the Marvel Wastelanders. We're gonna try to see what else there is. There probably isn't a whole lot, but I'm gonna still see anyway. That's weird. It didn't have a check mark. That's really weird. Sometimes I completed activity on Marvel Insider, and sometimes it's slow to recognize. So sometimes I have to do an activity more than one time for it to recognize, and then put the check mark. So now we're talking about the Watcher. What does the Watcher do instead of watch? So, ever since its debut in Fantastic Four 1961, number 13, Uatu the Watcher has observed everything that's happened from the Marvel Universe. Even the multiverse stories from What If 1977 has fallen under the Watcher's relentless gaze. Like the rest of his cosmic race, the Watcher is forbidden from directly interfering with events of other species, but Uatu has had difficulties with keeping that oath. The ever-present Watcher. So we have the Original Sin 2014 First Motivations. Then we have the Coming of Galactus in Fantastic Four 1961, number 48. That's a really popular one. Then you have Captain Marvel 1968, number 39, The Trial of the Watcher. Then you have Fantastic Four 1961, number 262, Lawyer Up. Then you have the Fantastic Four 1961, number 400, The Watcher versus Rogue Watcher. Then you have Fantastic Four 2018, number 25, There Will Be a Reckoning. So yeah, those are all have been appearances where you've seen or you might have known that the Watcher is there. So that's something a little interesting for you. Okay, again, I'm trying my best to see if there's content, but again, it's totally up to the folks at Marvel to update their page. I'm hoping that they do. Okay. Well, the only things it looks like are left are a bunch of stuff from Contest of Champions and Puzzle Quest, 2 games that I don't play, and also some stuff coinciding with Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, anyway, I'm sorry guys if this hasn't been the most eventful Marvel Insider check-in, but have no fear, because here at Channel Daniel Hutchins, we try our best to entertain you guys with some of the best content. So now we are going to be going over the Screen Rant. Now normally I would never do this, but of course because there was a lack of information on Marvel's website, we are going into doing some articles from some of our friends. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about something that's really hot right now. Every Star Wars character who could return in the Book of Boba Fett. Okay, so you guys probably might know that Book of Boba Fett is coming in December. So, the Book of Boba Fett focuses on Star Wars' most famous bounty hunter, but it can also see the lights of returning some of the other classic characters. Okay, so Disney's Book of Boba Fett could see the return of numerous Star Wars characters from their universe. In addition to bringing back Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, set soon after the ending of Mandalorian Season 2, the Book of Boba Fett are perfectly positioned in Star Wars timelines to feature familiar faces from the New Republic era, the original trilogy, or even the Clone Wars. So throughout his life, Boba Fett has crossed paths with numerous other key players of Star Wars. He was present at the Battle of Geonosis, where he saw his father Jango Fett killed by Jedi Master Mace Windu, and as a young outlaw, he's worked with and against various underworld figures, including Cad Bane, the famed bounty hunter, Aurra Sing. Later on, he worked with Darth Vader and the Empire to capture Han Solo, deliver him to Jabba the Hutt. Now, legend says that Boba Fett had presumably died in the Sarlacc pit on Tatooine after battling Luke Skywalker and his friends, but it was later revealed in The Mandalorian Season 2 that he actually managed to escape. So, that's telling you something. So, related to this article, Book of Boba Fett timeline, how long after Return of the Jedi and Mandalorian is this set? So, we're not talking about that, unless you want me to talk about that. Let me know in the comments. But all that is to say that there are lots of reasons for many different Star Wars characters to return for the Book of Boba Fett. Now, as Fennec and Fett have attempted to rebuild Jabba's old galactic criminal empire to claim for themselves, they could run plenty of old allies and enemies. And here are some of the most likely Star Wars characters to return for the Book of Boba Fett, and what their presence could mean for the show. Okay, this is all hypothetical, guys. This is all hypothetical. So first on the list we got Cad Bane. Easily one of the most popular characters from the Clone Wars. Cad Bane would make a lot of sense as a cameo to the Book of Boba Fett. The two bounty hunters have had runs-ins in the past, and one had planned but unproduced episode of the Clone Wars even showing a duel between them. Now, Cad Bane has never been given a canonical death, which also means that he could easily still be active during the events of Mandalorian. Plus, as an older member of the Star Wars underworld, he can give an interesting perspective on the shiftiness, or the shift and balance, of the powers in the galaxy. Now, Boba Fett and Cad Bane have never met in live action, but the Book of Boba Fett might be the perfect place for it to happen. Okay. Next we got Dinda Jaren, we know as the Mandalorian. While it's unlikely that he would appear before Season 3 premieres, it is possible. Now, anything in Star Wars is possible, guys. Anything in Star Wars is possible. So that he could show up in Book of Boba Fett. Now, he's still a bounty hunter after all, which meaning that he directly affected by Fett and Fennec's takeover of Jabba's palace in the Empire. He and Boba also developed a significant bond of comradeship and brotherhood in Mandalorian Season 2, which can also make Din one of the few people Fett actually trusts. Now, if Dinda Jaren were to appear in the Book of Boba Fett, it'd probably be a setup to a storyline for the Mandalorian Season 3. Next we got Bo-Katan Kryze. Now you remember her, she is one of another character from Mandalorian. Her character is still ripe for a return for the Book of Boba Fett. As her Mandalore aspirant Bo-Katan Kryze, now at the end of Mandalorian Season 2, guys, Bo-Katan had failed to win possession of the coveted Darksaber. Now, leaving her path to the throne of Mandalore unclear, it is implied that she might try to fight Dinda Jaren to win the Darksaber back. But no matter what her next plan was, she might need some powerful friends to get it done. So Bo-Katan doesn't seem to trust Boba Fett since he's a clone, but he has unquestionable blood ties to Mandalorian people. He'll soon be one of the most powerful people in the entire galaxy. This being said, this could be enough for Bo-Katan to ask Boba Fett for a favor or two as she plots her reconquest of Mandalore, the planet. Related to this article, Book of Boba Fett trailer breakdown. Now, I'm not talking about that, but if you want me to talk about that, I'll talk about that. Let me know in the comments. Next character that could appear is Lando Calrissian. Now, after helping to defeat Emperor Palpatine's Imperial regime in Return of the Jedi, Lando Calrissian worked in various capacities from the New Republic, and he was the head of his own droid manufacturing company. None of that explicitly sets Lando up for the return for the Book of Boba Fett, because of his troubled history with the bounty hunter. He could easily be brought in the story though, but Lando might suddenly have the desire to take vengeance on the bounty hunter, after having learned that Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit. And with Boba rebuilding the massive criminal empire in Star Wars underworld, it's unlikely that his survival will remain much of a secret. Now, the biggest hindrance up to the Lando cameo in the Book of Boba Fett is, of course, casting. Now, Donald Glover played the young Lando in Solo: The Star Wars Story, which again is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Now, but his schedule might not allow for a return to this franchise, and it seems unlikely about Disney would cast in a third star to play Lando Calrissian, because like we said, with Donald Glover, him being busy as an actor, and then also having a busy schedule of himself. And don't forget the original one, Billy D. Williams. He's too old to play Lando Calrissian. So there's probably no chance of Lando Calrissian going to be in Book of Boba Fett, more because of the fact that it's just really unlikely. It's highly unlikely because, like we said, it's kind of like, you have like kind of those strange blood ties. He has like this strange relationship between the bounty hunter, even when it goes all the way back to Empire Strikes Back. You remember how shaky things were back then, and even back when the shaky ties back in Return of the Jedi. But of course, next we have another person on this list, Han Solo. Now, like Lando is, from the appearance of Han Solo in the Book of Boba Fett, this seems highly unlikely. This is highly unlikely due to casting considerations. Many people have praised Alden Ehrenreich's performance as Han and Solo, and I did too. I was one of the many people who praised him. But this cancellation of the planned sequels makes reprisals from his actor seem unlikely. Still, there's undeniable potential for the idea of Han and Boba Fett coming face to face once again, especially given all the bounty hunter has been through since the end of Return of the Jedi. Yeah, so again, like I said guys, it's highly unlikely for Lando Calrissian and Han Solo to return to the series, just because of casting situations. Okay, next we got Bossk. So now, Boba Fett's corner of the Star Wars universe is filled with other bounty hunters and underworld figures, and out of all of them, Bossk seems to be the best bet to make the return. Now, the Dinda Jaren bounty hunter has never died in canon, but he was present at Jabba's palace with Fett in the days leading up to Jabba's death. Now, as one of the most feared bounty hunters who stuck by him, he'd also been closely tied to various crime syndicates. Boba Fett and Fennec Shand meet with the Book of Boba Fett trailer, paving out the way for Bossk's return. Okay, next on the list is Cobb Vanf. Okay, so because Boba Fett and Fennec Shand will primarily be based on the planet Tatooine, the Book of Boba Fett's likely they'll have more run-ins with the self-proclaimed local marshal Cobb Vanf. Now, Vanf made his live-action Star Wars debut in Mandalorian Season 2, where he was seen sporting Boba Fett's own armor before giving it up to Dinda Jaren. It's unclear how exactly Vanf would react to Fett trying to seize more underworld power on Tatooine, but it's safe to assume and safe to say he wouldn't be a fan of this move. So now, related to this article, the Book of Boba Fett can make a perfect Star Wars stories canon again. We're not talking about that unless you want me to talk about that. Let me know in the comments. Next we got Kira. Now, Star Wars universe is a treacherous place, largely because of many gangs, mercenary guilds, and crime syndicates that rule the Outer Rims. Now, one of the biggest such syndicates is Crimson Dawn, which we have mentioned yesterday, and Darth Maul. So, Crimson Dawn is a group once ruled by Darth Maul, and later by Han Solo's childhood flame, Kira. Now, as far as Disney's revealed, Kira is presumably still alive during the events of Mandalorian, and she's the leader of the Crimson Dawn. She might not take too kindly to Boba Fett and Fennec Shand trying to seize power in the underworld. This could lead to a Kira villain plotline from the Book of Boba Fett, with this chance of Emilia Clarke to reprise her role in the Star Wars universe. Okay, next we got the Bad Batch. Okay, in the timeline of Book of Boba Fett, any remaining normal clones of Jango Fett, those of accelerated growth and aging, would likely be dead. Now, Captain Rex has lived through the end of the Galactic Civil War, but he was an old man by the time the Empire was defeated. However, because of these other genetic and galactic mutations, it's possible that some members of the Bad Batch, VSA, Hunter, Echo, Tech, and Wrecker, could have survived, even into these events of the books of Boba Fett. Additional to this, Omega, the perfect clone for Jango Fett, like Boba, would have actually grown up normally, making her Boba's own age. Now, as Boba Fett becomes a bigger figure in galactic underworld, it is possible that some of his surviving kin, like the Bad Batch or Omega, would want to see him. If so, this could set up some interesting storylines and plots for the Book of Boba Fett. Next on the list we got Grand Admiral Thorne. Now you remember I talked about him, Grand Admiral Thorne. He's actually a person I talked about in some of the Ahsoka series videos I talked about. So given what's revealed in Mandalorian Season 2, it's not too unlikely to see Admiral Thorne appear in some form in Book of Boba Fett. Now Thorne is being clearly built up for the big bad of Star Wars New Republic era shows. And though he probably wouldn't play any kind of major role in Book of Boba Fett, he could make a cameo to set up the future appearances in the wake of Palpatine's defeat by Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Thorne would have had to go in the hiding, just like Moff Gideon, now possibly retreating into some galactic underworld that Boba Fett is now trying to rule. There were obviously no guarantee though, but Thorne, teased in the Book of Boba Fett, could set up some further exciting crossover possibilities in Disney Plus down the line. Okay guys, so again, the Book of Boba Fett premieres on Disney Plus on December the 29th. So it actually premieres a couple days before the new year. Yes, a couple days before the new year, Book of Boba Fett happens on December 29th, a couple days before New Year's. Alright, so that's just telling you something about who are the possible characters who could show up in this year's Book of Boba Fett. Because, it is going to still technically be this year that it's coming out. So, December 29th. Mark that day on your calendar, because that's going to be the next big Star Wars series. Because it's going to be exploring some more of the Star Wars universe. So, for you guys who are Star Wars fans, you'd probably want to know more about Boba Fett. So, there you go. It's a perfect window opportunity. Okay. So now, we are going to be trying to set up something else to talk about. Okay, we're going to be talking about the Eternals again. Okay, how much the Eternals cost to make, and how much box office is it to be a success? Okay, this is also hypothetical. So, again, I like to do hypothetical articles because it kind of gets your mind thinking about what type of opinions there are from everybody across the world. Now, with Marvel Eternals arriving in theaters, we take this look at how much the film has cost to make and what it needs to earn for box office success. Okay, this was 14 hours ago, guys. So again, here's how much Eternals cost to make and what it needs to earn the box office to consider it a success. Okay, so Marvel's Cinematic Universe has continued to be very successful in 2021, even with Black Widow and Shang-Chi helping to lead the box office resurgence. Okay, so even though total grosses are still a ways off from approaching 2019 levels, new Marvel blockbusters have been a boon for exhibitors. Now, Shang-Chi has broke the all-time Labor Day weekend record, besting the mark that's been set in pre-pandemic times. So Marvel hopes to have another hit on their hands when Eternals arrives in theaters, directed by the Academy Award winner Clouseau. Now, this film introduced a bevy of new characters to the MCU, portrayed by an all-star lineup. Now, in the past, Marvel's shown a knack for making household names out of obscure properties like the Guardians of the Galaxy. So the track record indicates they'll be able to achieve something similar with the Eternals. Now, early Eternals box office projections are at the highest for Phase 4, which is a good considering that the movie's price tag. So related to this article, Black Widow and the Eternals have the same MCU formula problem. We're not talking about that, we're talking about someone else. So okay guys, so anyway, Eternals' reported production budget is around $200 million. Now this figure makes sense, because the pricier non-Avengers movies in MCU recently, Shang-Chi has cost them about $150 million to make. While Spider-Man Far From Home was only $160 million, and Captain Marvel's budget was between $150 to $175 million. Now, in the last couple years, Black Widow and Black Panther were MCU solo movies that has cost $200 million to make. Okay, guys, that's just numbers, though. But the general rule of the thumb is the film's break-even point is at its production budget doubled. This meaning that the Eternals would have to gross around $400 million globally in order to recoup its cost. Now, right now, there's a good chance of them hitting that mark, and a handful of Hollywood blockbusters have passed the threshold worldwide. Now, including Shang-Chi, $423.6 million. No Time to Die, James Bond, $606.7 million. Black Widows earned respectively $379.6 million, but it grosses was affected by a hybrid Disney Plus release where viewers paid to watch it via the Premier Access for $30 tax. So anyway, given the popularity of MCU and gap between studio tentpoles since No Time to Die has opened, there should be a demand for the Eternals. However, there are some other key factors working against that. So Eternals has a very long runtime, clocking in at about 156 minutes. This was significant because that limits the number of daily screenings theaters can show, which can impact the box office haul. There have been plenty of long movies that have been box office hits, No Time to Die being one of them. So the runtime may not really hinder Eternals, but it's the something to consider. Now additionally, the film is a rarity in the MCU, unlike anything else, and Eternals has a Rotten Tomatoes score. Typically, MCU films are well received. Now at this point, the franchise is probably critic-proof, but again, it will be interesting to see how the mixed word of mouth affects Eternals' box office. More casual audiences may opt to wait to skip Eternals in the theater as it's not a must-see. It is not a must-see as in other superhero films. Okay, guys, so let me know what your thoughts are about that, and I'd like to know how much you think Eternals is going to make. I'm just kind of curious to see what you guys think, because you guys who are my subscribers would know what things like that are going to be like. So I'm just saying, we are trying to do a couple more if we can. We just have to see whatever new stuff there is, guys. Okay, this was interesting. Thor. Why Love and Thunder may have Dark World flashbacks. Okay, you remember the terrible Thor movie, Dark World, right? Well, yeah. Now according to some people, now Thor Love and Thunder might have some Dark World flashbacks. Okay, so Thor Love and Thunder may include flashbacks from the Dark World, and here's why it's the key reference when Thor and Jane Foster wrote The Romantic Couple. Now, this was 15 hours ago. So although Thor the Dark World is not highly regarded, which means it sucks, Thor Love and Thunder may still include flashbacks from the terrible 2013 film involving Natalie Portman as Dr. Jane Foster and Chris Hemsworth as the God of Thunder. Now, Thor Love and Thunder will be written and directed by the same director. I'm still trying to wake up this morning, guys. I'm still trying to wake up. But okay, it's going to be written and directed by the same director who reinvented the Asgardian god into the more comedic and emotionally vulnerable hero. But Natalie Portman was absent from Thor Ragnarok, so she practically missed out entirely all of Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yep. So, directed by Alan Taylor, Thor the Dark World was one of the least popular Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in reason, because it sucks. Now, however, Thor 2 is still a crucial MCU film because it introduced the Aether, aka the Infinity Stone. The Reality Stone. Just say Reality Stone. Don't just put Reality Infinity. Call it Reality Stone. Makes it more easier. And has helped set Loki on his path to redemption. Now, in addition, Thor the Dark World was the last time Natalie Portman played Dr. Jane Foster in live action. Now, given that, Portman had behind-the-scenes issues with Marvel Studios at the time, but she's finally returned to the franchise and has accepted the cost that she has to do when it comes to making these movies. Now, of course, this includes voice acting for Jane in What If. In Thor Love and Thunder, Jane is also literally going to become the goddess of thunder. So she's going to have to take a high toll when her place as a superhero, who's the equal of her Asgardian on-again, off-again love interest, Thor Odinson. Okay, so related to this article, the MCU just repeated Thor's 2 Jane Foster insult. We're not talking about that, we're talking about someone else. So Thor Love and Thunder set photos have shown both Chris Hemsworth, Thor, and Natalie Portman's Jane Foster wearing wigs and gives them the same looks as they sported in Thor the Dark World. Now they both look physically different in scenes set from present day of MCU, i.e. 2024, or about 9 years since the events of Thor 2. Now Jane and Thor are reprising their 2013 looks, indicating that Love and Thunder will have flashbacks from the terrible movie we know as The Dark World. This would make sense, though it was the last time Thor and Jane were romantically together. It's to be a happy time that Thor still thinks wistfully about. Now, Thor mentioned his ex-girlfriend in Ragnarok during Avengers Endgame. The later was particularly since Fat Thor was drunk and he's allowed the other Avengers to glimpse how emotionally distraught he still was after his breakup with Jane. Ha 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 ha. Wow, yes. There were Fat Thor in Endgame, and he was making jokes about Jane. But anyway, you can see that on your own time. But since Thor and Jane Foster's relationship ended after The Dark World, it's a wiser move to directly reference the film rather than ignore it. Okay, guys, so I know that sounds crazy, but we have to do it. But Marvel Studios is certainly aware the Thor the Dark World isn't particularly beloved by the fans. Well, no shit, it isn't. It's the worst Thor movie ever. But the events of this film are still pivotal to the relationship between Thor and Jane. Now, after all, Avengers Endgame already made Thor the Dark World part of their Avenger time heist. Now, Thor and Rocket went back in Asgard in 2013 to steal the Aether. This included footage of Natalie Portman as Jane after Thor brought her to meet his parents and cure the astrophysicist of her infection from the Aether. Okay, so although Jane Foster and Thor were battling to save the world against Malekith in the Dark World, there were plenty of happy moments between this couple. Now, Thor and Jane had rekindled their romance, and during this time, it was that Foster, who was the fish out of water, when Thor brought her to Asgard. Jane also met Thor's parents, and, respectively speaking, who sadly died at Malekith's hands in Thor 2. Now, again, after the Dark World, Thor's life has become after repeatedly suffering tragic losses. Thor broke up with Jane, Odin died, his hammer Mjolnir was destroyed by Hela, and Asgard was annihilated by Surtur. Thanos had then killed Loki again, and Heimdall, as well as half the survivors of Asgard. Now, given what Thor's endured after he broke up with Jane, it makes a lot of sense why Thor Love and Thunder would purposely look back on the last of the few. Now, Happy Time Thor and Jane were a couple as they reunite in Phase 4. Okay. So let me know what your guys' thought was. I'm pretty sure it's going to be kind of crazy. Now saying that's been confirmed now that Thor Love and Thunder is going to have Dark World flashbacks. But again, like I said, Dark World is a terrible, terrible movie. So if you ever want to watch that, beware, because it just sucks. It just sucks. Sucks. So, okay. I'm trying to go to Screen Rant exclusives. And I'm trying to find something else that pops out and screams attention. We are trying to find some good content, guys. We are trying to find good content. I'm trying to. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is something again for the Eternals. Okay, why the Eternals' Rotten Tomato score is now rotten. Oh my gosh. Since its world premiere, Eternals has received negative reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. But here's why they have officially rated it rotten. And here's why. This is 18 hours ago. The Eternals' Rotten Tomato score has already dropped below fresh. And here is why. Directed by the award-winner director Clouseau, the superhero epic showcase of the ensemble cast, including all these big names, the Eternals sees the immortal waste the same need, resurfaced in the millennium, yeah. We got it. Okay, we got it. But the initial reaction to the Eternals is concretely expressed by its critic ratings and reviews. Now, following the world premiere in October, the film has struggled to maintain the score on the review aggregator we know as Rotten Tomatoes. It originally landed a 75% rating when fewer viewers were included. Now, but essentially, the score has dropped to 58% from 144 viewers. Now, becoming now not only the lowest rated MCU film, but also the first one to be rated rotten. Oh my gosh. So while it has also become the latest amongst Marvel entries to be subjected to review bombing, this doesn't reflect the Rotten Tomato score, but rather than the opinions of motivated individuals seeking to derail the hype of pre-releases. The critical score arguably is more ruinous for our friends Marvel Studios, with the film making history in this manner. this raises the question, and raises a couple eyebrows, why has Eternal's Rotten Tomatoes score dropped? That's a good question. Related to this article, how Eternal's initial Rotten Tomatoes score compares to the rest of the MCU. That would be too long to talk about, so we're not talking about that. Alright, so as more people review this film negatively, the lower the Eternal's Rotten Tomatoes score becomes. Unfortunately, most of its disapproving feedback lies to the fact that the Eternals is helmed by an independent filmmaker. So critics point out that either the movie is not Marvel enough, taking its account and visual distinction from others of the franchise, or it lacks the trademark directorial touch of Zoe, which is a result of her genius being limited to the superhero genre. They also acknowledge the absence of wit and humor that Marvel films are known for. While presenting the unique perspective is ideally a cause for acclaim, but Eternals has seemingly attempted to deviate from this traditional, tried and tested, yet broken MCU formula, only to fail in its execution. Now, as a direct result, despite the star-studded performance, critics have claimed that it falls flat in exposition and pacing, with generic characters and lulling narrative. Oh my gosh, wow. Moreover, the film has also displeased critics because of its inclusive cast. Eternals marks the milestone in MCU as the first to include characters of different races, gender identities, and disabilities. However, some reviews state their disappointment towards Phastos, the first openly gay superhero, who shares an on-screen kiss with his husband. Although this is not the first LGBTQ character in the franchise, with Joe Russo's cameo in Avengers Endgame being gay, and Loki being mentioned as bisexual and gender fluid, there is arguably the level of discomfort with Phastos being the focal point of this story. Nonetheless, though, this is not the first time the MCU films has been reviewed poorly. Now, we remember back in 2019, Captain Marvel's received backlash because mainly it centered on all females, and it was directed by female filmmakers. But ultimately, though, its critic rating improved. Now, however, hopefully with Eternal's theatrical release, the audience can now contribute to its Rotten Tomatoes score. But again, while some critics have raised valid points, which then insulted in the Rotten Tomatoes score, viewers should also consider the actual merit of this film, and not just the unnecessary hate towards mainstream gender representation and the franchise itself. Okay, so that's just a little bit of some more controversy that's going on with Marvel. So yeah, I'm gonna be saving this photo, and I'm gonna be doing something with that photo later that I'm not gonna be real happy about. Okay. So okay, guys, that is just okay. So that is just about 40 plus minutes worth of content. So again, we are already 44 minutes in this video. So again, I don't want to take up too much of your morning. Of course, I could be talking about comic book universe all day if I want to. But again, I just want to leave off here with the Eternals and how the Rotten Tomatoes score has now been rotten, and how there's been so much negative reviews on Marvel when it comes with, this movie. So again, let me know what your thoughts are. I like to know what you guys think. And again, please hit a thumbs up if you like. If you don't like, that's okay. We understand. These things aren't for everybody. But again, I'm just going to try to do something else. After I post this video, I'm probably going to go up and try to get some breakfast or something. I don't know. But yeah. So I'll see you guys in some more videos. But yeah, I just decided I'd do a Marvel Insider and Screen Rant video. So again, because there was no information left on Marvel Insider to do, that's why I decided to throw in Screen Rant. So again, just a creative move by my part. So yeah, yeah. Please let me know what your thoughts are. I like to know. And again, have an awesome, 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 awesome Wednesday. And today, I'm probably just gonna be taking things pretty easy again, because you know I don't do a whole lot, so I'm just chilling. So yeah, I'm gonna be seeing you guys in some more uploads throughout the day or the evening, depending. And I'm probably also going to be doing some more videos into the closure of another week. So again, if I do some videos today or Thursday or Friday or this weekend or next week, you'll know why. It's because I am just trying to keep you guys entertained and up to speed with the entertainment and the stuff that's going on with the comic book universe. So again, I'm going to try to see if there's going to be any. I can't really tell if there's any light outside my window, because I mean I have my showroom lights on. I got my Christmas lights on. I mean, it's kind of dark behind my bed, with the exception of the Christmas lights and such. But again, I'm just gonna try to wake up. I'm gonna try to get myself something to eat. Maybe I'll get myself a small batch of Cheerios, and maybe I'll try to get some coffee or something. Because again, I'm just trying to entertain you guys like I am, and I'm doing my best to also entertain myself. So again, I hope you guys will continue to come back to my channel, because I like to share some good information with you guys. So yeah, I'll see you guys then. Bye.